Well, welcome back to the Encounter Faith podcast, everybody. My name's Ross, and I get to host these conversations, and for some reason, it's part of my job. Dear listener, I am really excited for this conversation because this might be the most biased conversation that I've had on the podcast yet. Because I'm going to talk about Good Shepherd Preschool today with Patty Schiewe. Patty's here. She's the director. And as much as, dear listener, as much as I like our pastors, our preschool here at Good Shepherd is a pretty magical place, and Patty gets to lead that team. And I've benefited from it as a parent, and we're going to dive into some of the reasons why. Patty, thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
Because I know you did not want to.
No, not one bit.
But you and I like to talk, but you with a microphone and having to talk about yourself, not your favorite. I want to talk about the preschool. I want to talk about some of the work you do. But I actually want to zoom out even further as we jump in the beginning here. A lot of people who are listening right now are tempted to go, oh, my kid's not in preschool. I don't have to listen to this episode, or, oh, I've already passed this phase or whatever. You are building a community here at the preschool. What is the role in that community for the folks who, just because their kid isn't 2 through 6, or they don't have a kid in their life who's 2 through 6, what do you want those folks to know?
That we have a preschool. When I started at Good Shepherd Church, I did not know we had a preschool.
Yep, there you go.
So that's first. Second, I want them, like, our reach is far. Mm-hmm. We have kids that have come from as far as Wheaton, Glen Ellen, Woodridge, Downers, you name it, where we've got people traveling a half hour, 45 minutes to come to preschool. I want them to know that we have an amazing school that I would say, I'd say it's one of the, I'd brag. Am I supposed to brag?
You actually, explicitly, you are supposed to brag.
I would say we have one of the premier preschools in Naperville.
Yeah.
That is child-centered, yet we have preschool or kindergarten-readiness curriculum that's developmentally appropriate, all within a Christian atmosphere where we're teaching about God and Christian values. And not only are we teaching about them, but we're modeling them.
Yeah.
And so what can the lay person do? Like, you might have a neighbor that's got a 3-year-old. I mean, we get people in all the time to our preschool who have heard about us from word of mouth. Hey, I hear you've got an amazing preschool. I want to come check it out. Absolutely. You might not have a 2-year-old, but you might have a grandson. You might have a neighbor. You might have a family that you just know needs a safe place for their child. And we've got a preschool for them. We've got our registration coming up. Man, can you believe it? Registration starts right around Thanksgiving for the next year, and we will fill up fast, really fast. So if you've got a friend, get the word out. Tell them to come to her now. Tell them to not wait, because our waiting list will be long. And if they're a friend of yours, we'd love them to be a friend of ours.
Nice. Look at you, Patty.
I know. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good line. And we're going to talk about that preschool. We're going to talk about even a few things that you already mentioned here. If I also can just sneak in a plug to any current preschool family, which is, don't wait on the registration. Don't make Patty's life harder.
No.
Don't be like what we did, we being me. Get all that stuff in so that you can also keep having your kid experience this. Because what I want to talk about is the preschool itself. Patty yes. Schiewe, you have been the director of the preschool here for now, how many years?
4.5.
4.5. And one of the things that stands out to me right away about the preschool was that you get a chance to really make every kid feel like they belong. And it's a chance that you take really seriously.
Absolutely.
When someone asks you, oh, what's your preschool like? Like tell me about what you do for work. Whenever you're in some of those like initial conversations, how do you describe the work that you do?
It's a little bit like Cheers, the bar. where everybody knows your name.
Nice. Okay, sure.
You know, we start our morning with pickup and drop off line, and half of our teachers are out there collecting kids. We know all the kids by name. So our teachers don't just know the kids in their class. They know all of the kids' names. So when they're out there acknowledging them one by one as they come in, and every parent knows that the 10 staff that are out there know their child. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the things that's so special. Everybody knows your name. Everybody knows who your kid is. They feel welcome. They walk in holding our hands. They give us big hugs. They tell us what they eat for breakfast. They tell us if it's a good day or a bad day. They tell us why they're wearing a special outfit. And we just love those first few minutes with the kids to make them feel really special.
Yeah. I've had the unique privilege of being able to experience the preschool a little bit as a coworker, experience the preschool as a dad with Isaac for a couple of years, and now get to look forward to experiencing the preschool with Elise, my youngest. And I'll be honest, Betty, I miss it. Like, I miss the community that it felt like Isaac was a part of. Now, he's a unique situation in the fact that he's the mayor of this building, and now he's having to go learn what it means to be like the mayor of a public school, and that's a different vibe for him. How do you think about intentional choices, intentional like programming, structure of your staff to make that culture a reality versus how much of it is just kind of like in the water? It's why so many of you got into education in the first place. Like how proactive do you have to be in order to make that true?
So our staff is pretty amazing. And I'll start there. Almost all of our staff are former teachers that prioritized their family over their career at one time.
Sure.
And so like myself, we stayed home with our kids.
Sure.
The kids grow up, they go off to kindergarten. You're like, now what do I do?
Sure.
And many of our teachers drop their kids off in their carpool line at the local elementary schools. They come into school, they get their 45 minutes of chatting with their next door neighbor teachers that are their friends. And then they fill their cup with kids and with teaching, which is what they do best.
Sure.
And then they go home and they do the wrestling and soccer and cheer and all of the other carpool lines that they do.
Nice.
So they get to be moms first, which is their love for their kids. And then they get to come in and love on the kids that were gifted while the hours of that kids are here during school.
Yep.
So that's number one. Two is a lot of our staff are former parents, just like you. And they wanted to work at the preschool because they loved what their kids had, which is a safe, welcoming environment. All are welcome, where these women support each other. They pray for each other. They pray for the kids in our classes. They pray for our families. That is just something that you don't find at many jobs. And I think we all treasure that. We treasure it, having our friends as we go through hard times with parents, with hard times with our kids growing up and getting married, Max. And we just treasure all of our friendships here at school. So the environment, just kind of the amazing group of people that we have, sets us up for success.
Yeah, because then it allows the intentional choices you do make, like number of people involved in carpooling, to pay off the most. You absolutely have an exceptional team around you, and it sets you guys up, particularly those of you in leadership, to steward that resource well, to use some church language. The other thing that stands out to me about your preschool particularly is there's a level of paying attention to the entire kid and the entire family that you guys seem to have a keen both ability to do, but also a really intentional focus on. It's a conversation that comes up a lot in ministry circles where, because people are going to church less and less, ministry leaders, if you're a children's ministry leader, you're seeing those kids less and less.
Yes.
And it's harder to know that family, to know those relationships when you used to see them every week. Now you're seeing them once a month, or sometimes way less than that. You give this opportunity of seeing those kids X amount of times during a week where you get to really know the family. Can you talk about some of the ways in which you as a preschool, whether it's the emotional learning, whether it is some of the kindergarten-readiness kind of stuff, some of that more like distinctives that to make you brag about yourself that you believe sets you guys apart?
Our curriculum is really strong. We follow Illinois state standards for early childhood education, which we are in no way required to do. We do it because we're teachers and we know what's right.
Right.
And I taught first grade for 13 years and second grade for a year. And I've got a whole bunch of former kindergarten teachers on my staff. And I've got, I think there's 6 of us with our masters in education. And so everything we do, we try to have a purpose for. So playing at the beginning of the day, the kids think that they're playing with Play-Doh. They think that they're playing with foam, but what they're really doing is building the little muscles in their hand. So their fine motor skills are developing. And when they're outside playing every day on our brand new amazing playground, thank you to their congregation, preschool families, they are working on their gross motor skills. When we have them going on hunts during fire safety week to put out little fires, they're singing little songs that are rhyming and they're playing rhyming games. And those are all related to phonemic awareness, and which is a predictor of early reading.
Sure.
It is all tied in. We are subitizing numbers, and most people don't even know what subitizing is. Do you know what subitizing is, Ross?
No, Patty, I didn't go to your preschool. I don't know things like this.
If you look at a domino, you should be able to look at that domino and know that it's a 6 right away. If you're looking at a playing card, you know what that number is right away. If you're looking at a 10 frame, you can see and you know that 5 + 2 is 7. So we are setting these kids up for, we're exposing them to all of the things that they will have in kindergarten at different ages. So we build upon each other. And then some of our kids are ready to receive it, and other kids are just seeing it over and over and over. And then when their little brains are ready for that information to grasp a hold of it, they're like, oh yeah, I've done this 150 times. Now I get it. So our job is really to just expose kids to so much. I mean, we've got kids that are in here reading because they're doing sentences in a pocket chart with, I see a blue fish. I see a blue. So they're tracking those words and learning basic sight words, and they're 3 and 4 years old. So yeah, we kind of have a purpose for everything, but we then have fun too. We pull guts out of pumpkins in the next week or two and get messy and paint all over the place and use glitter like it is exploded. We let kids explore sensory things that they're not comfortable with. The first time you see them finger paint and they put one finger on the paint and they might do it for a second or two and then they're like, I'm done. Yeah. And by the end of the year, they've got paint up to their elbows because they're just having a blast. So we conquer some of those things that are a little scary for them and a little uncomfortable. And we make them uncomfortable in a safe environment where they can be them. Yeah.
And what I hope the listener hears in that is obviously what Patty's describing is super important. And also, dear listener, if Patty lets them play with glitter at school, you don't have to bring the glitter home. And I say that as a parent who benefited from that choice that Patty made for well over a couple years.
I hated Play-Doh. Hated it as a parent. It would get in the carpet all over the place. We have tile floors. We're good. Yeah. Play-Doh's a great thing. I love it much more as a preschool director than I did as a mom.
I bet. But what I'll even tell the example this way. I remember sitting in your office once and you telling me about Isaac. You're like, hey, get him like a stress ball, get him something so that he can work on those tiny muscles in his hand. And you don't know this. I'm telling you this in real time. Had his kindergarten conferences earlier this week or last week. And they're like, hey, one of the cool things I can see from even the beginning of the year to now of how he's been able to write and have the intent on how much he's pressing into the paper. I can see the difference. And my favorite part about that was obviously the benefit for my kid, but knowing that you had the capacity or chose to have the capacity to think about how strong my son's hand muscles were, because that speaks to the level of individual attention you're able to pay a kid.
Yeah. We really want to know all of our kids. Every kid has gifts. Everyone. My 3 boys all had very different gifts. Everyone has strengths. And so you look for what those strengths are. Mm-hmm. But you also look for where you need to help them. Mm-hmm. Because if all we're looking at is what they're good at and not how to move them forward in other areas where it might be a little harder, then we're missing something. So with all of our kids, our goal is to take them, if we get them at point A, we're taking them to point B and then C and then D. But if we get a kid at point F, then we need to be moving them on too. Mm-hmm. So
that's good. Yeah.
Some kids come in and can color great, but they have a hard time making friends. Mm-hmm. Some kids have their math facts already down pat when they're 4, mm-hmm. but they have no idea or they don't want to touch that paint.
Yeah.
Like they're afraid to get their hands in things. So we just give them a lot of opportunities to gain confidence across the board. Mm-hmm. Like you might already be confident in reading. Yes, we had one little one that was reading chapter books last year without a problem. Yet we were able to build his confidence that he needed in other ways.
Sure. What I love about that particularly is as you're telling that, I can see the kids that are coming to mind for you as you're describing this.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's one of my favorite things about your whole team, you as the director, is it's the type of environment that I as a parent want my kid to be in. Because there's all this data to talk about, and every parent has this lived experience of my kids are so much better off when they have other adults in their life, not just my wife, Lauren, and I, who love them, see them, know them, that they feel safe around. You guys are able to provide different perspectives, different expertise. You're able to call them out on stuff. A memory that is burned into my brain, dear listener, is Patty hauling Isaac while he's crying on the very first day of preschool to get him inside, because Patty knew once he was inside, he was going to be fine. Cut to the second day, I'm trying to have a moment of saying goodbye to Isaac, and he just runs away and runs inside. And that the reason that happened has lots to do with how God made Isaac, but also has everything to do with the fact that I was dropping my kid off in an environment full of a bunch of experts, like you said.
Yep.
And a bunch of people who at that time, you'd only had Isaac for a day, but knew that, we want every kid to have this type of turnaround experience that Isaac had. The other thing that I think your team and you do such a great job of, and this begins to kind of connect more to this For Our Neighbors conversation we've been having over the past several weeks on this podcast, is we had the experience of, we decided to, as your team calls it, we redshirted Isaac. He did an extra year of preschool.
Yep.
July birthday. And I remember going, oh yeah, sure. Okay. Now, every dad who's listening, that's probably what you did in your version of this. And every mom who's listening, I don't like to play gender stereotypes, but this is a case where I feel particularly okay with it, because my guess is all of you did what my wife did, which is you dove deep into the research. You dove deep into personal stories. You dove deep into grabbing experts and personal opinions and all of that. But my favorite part of that process was when you and Courtney, Isaac's teacher, were like, yeah, he'd probably be fine, but he'd also probably benefit in XYZ ways if he stuck around for a year. Because it was this thing that helped us see that you were in our corner as parents, but you also didn't have an agenda other than the well-being of Isaac in the conversation.
He's number one.
Exactly. Yep. You were on Team Isaac, as Elizabeth likes to say. How that all connects for me is, I'll ask the question this way about the preschool, which is, you get to serve a wide variety of families, a wide variety of kids. And those kids are coming from a wider variety of circumstances, and in your case, location, than those who come into the doors of the church on a Sunday morning.
Yep.
What do you hope those kids feel like? We've talked a lot about, what we hope the parents pick up on, but what do you hope the kids feel when they're part of the preschool? Because I imagine it's going to sound pretty similar to some of the stuff that we talk about people wanting to feel on a Sunday morning.
I'll tell you a couple of things that are fun. Is one, we had a senior in high school email us last week to say, do you still play the Good Shepherd song?
Nice.
That goes to this tune by Green Day. Mm-hmm. And can I have the lyrics? Like, it's a senior in high school that remembers this song and wanted that connection.
I love that.
That's awesome. We had a teacher that ran into a former student the other day, a fourth grader.
Okay.
That knew that they were going to see her and brought their memory book.
Nice.
From preschool 3-year-old class to show this teacher that they still have this special book with all the pictures of all of their friends and all the experiences that they had all in one place. Like, that's what we want kids to do.
Yeah.
We want them to remember this preschool. Why did Miss Rhonda come back 2 years ago? She was at church. She was praying on it. She didn't know what the next thing was. And a Lenny Hammer jumped into her arms in the bathroom at church.
Naturally.
And said, oh, Miss Rhonda, I love you and I miss you so much. And it was like, Rhonda goes, yep, I need to go back to being Miss Rhonda.
That's awesome.
Because how we make kids feel here is what's pretty awesome. Yeah. We want to make sure that all of our kids feel safe, number one, because you're not going to get them to learn if they don't feel safe.
Yep.
So taking a movement break with a kid when they need to, bringing Isaac in on that day he was, as they'd say in education, dysregulated, spending time with him until he was regulated and ready to go with class.
Right.
Where he knew, buddy, I got your back. I'm going to come check on you. Yep. He knew his teachers were going to take care of him. Like, that's what we want, number one. You need to feel safe. Then you feel that love, right? And we go through in the morning. They sing a cute little song and it's like, oh, and who loves you? Mom loves you. Dad loves you. Miss Patty loves you. Miss Rhonda loves you. Miss Courtney loves you. Who else loves you? And all the kids yell, God loves me. We want them to know that they are just totally loved.
Yeah.
And then our job at school, the number one job that our kids have is to make your friends happy. Mm-hmm. Number one classroom rule. Is not, cut well, color in the lines, do whatever. It's make your friends happy.
Right.
And isn't that what God wants from us?
Sure.
That we're always making our friends happy. We're making our teachers happy. And it just creates such a loving, caring environment.
Yeah.
That I want my kid in that kind of program.
Yeah.
I want to create the kind of program that I wanted my own kid in. Mind you, my kids did have, some of them had good preschool experiences. Mm-hmm. But that's what I want for all kids. I want them to experience that. And when I taught in the public schools, my goal, especially for some of my kids, because as you said, kids come from different backgrounds, my goal was always to make it the best 7.5 hours of their day. Mm-hmm. And if we're making this the best 2.5 hours of the day, what a win that is. Mm-hmm. And we usually laugh, like at our tours, I usually tell parents, our problem isn't that our kids don't want to come to school. It's that they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
And when they don't want to leave because they love it. And I mean, they love it. Sure. We're letting them make the messes that you don't want at home. We're doing a lot of fun, crazy things that parents don't always have time for, but that's awesome. They don't want to leave school.
And it sets kids up for loving school.
Loving learning. Loving school.
And that's the kind of thing that pays dividends, particularly, I'm thinking of some of the conversations we've had in recent weeks on the podcast. Like, there's a conversation several weeks ago when I got to talk to the mayor of Naperville, and he was talking about what happens with teens and the social media influence and how there's this phrase that got used a bunch of teen takeovers. And one of the things that I was thinking about while we were talking was how different whatever the version of that is going to look when we've been spending so much time talking about Isaac, when Isaac's a teenager.
Yep.
Because the world will look different, social media will look different, et cetera. But what won't be different is the foundation that's been laid in Isaac's life, that when he makes those dumb teenage choices, when he has those moments of questioning, when he has those moments of doubt, when he has those moments of despair that come with being a teenager, he knows he will know who he is.
Yep. We use a lot of, a little bit of good choice, bad choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And we can look at some kids and give a thumbs up and a thumbs down, and they'll give us like what their choice is right now. If they're making a bad choice, they give themselves a thumbs down. Yeah, we don't even have to say anything sometimes. Uh-huh. And then we talk them through some of those things. Like, all right, so you did this. Was that a good choice or a bad choice? And they might say it's a bad choice. Mm. Well, what could you have done different, to make your friends happy, to have a better outcome? And letting kids talk through that and problem solve at 3 instead of telling them what they should have done different. Mm-hmm. Then they're not learning, they're just hearing. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And I think of my own kids with that, right? But if you let them problem solve and say, hey, what could you have done different? What choice could you make? And let's try that again.
Yeah.
I need water. How can you ask that in a little different way? Yeah. That might make Miss Patty want to help you out. Uh-huh. Miss Patty, can I have help getting some water? Absolutely. Yep. Teaching them those little life lessons, skills that teachers seem to have a lot of patience for. That sometimes parents don't.
Yeah.
Because you're giving snack to 14, 16, 20 kids.
Yes.
But you're teaching them, and all the other kids are hearing lessons that other kids are learning too.
Correct. Because that's the thing that I think is, to connect back to what's been clearly understood this whole time, is like, there's zero way for me, dear listener, to be quote unquote objective in a conversation like this, because I've seen the benefit that the preschool can have in a kid, and I've seen it in one of my kids. But what I've also seen is when you're doing that moment with my kid, you're not doing so as like this perfunctory like education lesson. No. You're doing so, and I mean this as a compliment to you, you're doing so because you expect better of Isaac, because you know him as a person. And you are invested in helping shape him as a person. I want him to be the best Isaac he can be. Exactly. And that's the thing where, like, I think every parent, regardless of if your kid's in preschool or not, needs more of that in our lives in parenting in 2025. It's no different a little bit with some of these lessons that we do with preschoolers than Max does with Fuel, or Jen does with Sparks, or Justin with Club 45, or Colin with high school. It's hearing some of those same things. For sure. Of what type of person does God want you to be? For sure. And then dumbing down the language. So that's not what they're hearing. But, in preschool we hear, you shared, you did such a great job sharing with your friend. I know that made God really happy. Sure. That made me really happy. Sure. I hope you're really proud of you. You did a great job. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you for listening to the Encounter Faith podcast. This podcast is a service of G. Shep Productions from Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Naperville, Illinois. All rights reserved. If you're in the area, we'd love to meet you on a Sunday morning at our 9 a.m. or 10:45 services. At Good Shepherd, we are inviting everyone to walk together in the calling of Christ for a life of eternal impact. This podcast is produced and hosted by me, Ross Cochran, and our theme song is Wake the Earth by 1111 Worship. Thank you for listening. We'll talk again soon.